Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Endless Endeavor podcast with me, Greg Anderson. This is going to be episode 19, and I'm in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho for a good friend's funeral. And me and another buddy stepped aside for a little bit to record this episode. It's kind of bittersweet. We've been friends for a while. We actually met out in Coeur d'Alene through Seth, and here we are again and hanging out, doing jiu-jitsu and doing the things that we do. So we figured it'd be a good opportunity to record a show. He's an interesting person, done a lot of cool stuff. And I just think that this is someone that will really jive with the audience of this show. So, Greg Lapin, welcome to the show.
What's up? I'm glad to be on here again, I guess, kind of.
Yeah, for people that have listened to the earlier episodes, we did one down in New Orleans with his friends and on his show. And, I mean, there was, 5 of us on that night?
Yeah, one remotely and then the 4 of us at the table.
And so I got a lot of positive feedback from that episode. People dug the conversation.
Yeah.
But they were also confused who was who.
For sure, absolutely.
Other than Joao Assis.
Yeah, guy, you need to.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Greggy. So without the thick Portuguese accent,
yeah,
we all got kind of clumped together.
We all sound like regular white guys.
Yeah. So Greg was on that podcast with me, and he's done a lot of similar stuff that I've done. He owns a jiu-jitsu academy. He's a police officer and done a lot of tours overseas and all that stuff. So yeah, we jived immediately. We became besties pretty much
overnight.
Yeah.
It is eerily odd like how similar we are.
The bromance began out of the gate. I think I might have mentioned this on the last podcast we did together, but I'll tell the story that he posted a picture on Instagram, and it was a side-by-side, and one was all kitted up in his SWAT gear with his vest and his kit and his gun and his helmet, and then side-by-side with a gi on in a jiu-jitsu uniform. And it was just a cool picture, and obviously anyone that's listened to the show, I talk about it ad nauseum. Police officers need to be training.
100%.
So when I saw that picture, it resonated with me. I was like, that's a cool dude, man. Like, he's getting after it both professionally and then in his off time, he's training. So I clicked and became friends on Instagram long before we met. And I remember I said, hey, whenever I'm down in New Orleans, I'm going to check out your academy. Let's train.
Yeah, dude.
And fast forward, I think 2 years, we were at Seth's ranch here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And Seth was hosting a jiu-jitsu event that him and I put together, and in walks Greg Lapin. And I said, hey.
We didn't even know each other.
Hey, what's up?
Yet.
What's up, internet friend?
You look familiar, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And come to find out that you and Seth worked together.
Triple Canopy. I mean, I've met Seth in like 2005,
Okay.
Early days.
Yeah.
We were joking last night, talking to a couple of the guys, and what's your employee number with TC? And I think I'm in the double digits, bro. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, I think I'm a double digit TC.
Am I a shitbag that I don't remember my TC employee?
I don't remember my number, but I know it's under 100.
Yeah. I went through TC's selection in April of 2004.
Okay. You were a whole year ahead of me then.
Because I was going into the contract world right when those guys got strung up in Fallujah, the Blackwater guys. Yep. And so right out of the gates, like, contracting became front page media. Everybody for a long time, I don't know if I should say a long time, but that industry was relatively unknown, I would say.
Completely in the shadows. I mean, contracting has been going on since the beginning of time.
Yeah. Yep.
But modern day, what we can call, I guess, private military contracting definitely was in the shadows. Guys been doing stuff down in Central and South America for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that really made it mainstream,
And I mean, a lot of the stuff in Iraq kind of made it mainstream, and now everybody hears the word contractor and they think mercenary.
That's right.
They're getting paid to go kill people. And it's so funny when people say that. It's because actually, no, we're supporting the U.S. government's mission. So mercenaries go for top dollar, yep. Right? And is that even a thing? Like, do you know anyone that's like, we've lived that world forever. Do you know anyone's like, I go where the money is?
No, it's all bullshit.
It's just
come on.
It's something
if
out
they
of a
say
fucking.
It, I'm like, yeah, fuck off.
Something out of a movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm gonna go work for the Russians because that's the top paying contract.
Can't really talk about it, bro.
Yeah. So, like I said right before we hit record, it'd be cool if you just kind of give a little rundown of like where you came from, where you grew up, how you got into jiu-jitsu, how you got into law enforcement, all that stuff. Just a little rundown.
Yeah. So without boring all you guys too much, I started in law enforcement. I was a New Orleans police officer, and New Orleans at the time, kind of early mid 2000s, was super, super dangerous, like crazy dangerous. We always led in the murder rate and whatnot, and we were very, very busy. And I worked primarily for a street crimes unit. So every night I'm out chasing bad guys, putting hands on bad guys, fighting bad guys that don't want to give up, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, shit, I need to get better at all this stuff. So I walked into a local jiu-jitsu academy and started training. Trained super sporadically, you know, typical white belt, didn't know what I didn't know. I was only going to train no gi because the gi was stupid.
Yep,
You know?
I was there too.
So I only want to train no gi, and I did it every once in a while. And, you know, obviously I was getting some grappling skills and some takedown skills, etc. I didn't really jive with the academy at the time where I was. And then I quickly started, I rather quickly left the police department and started contracting. And then, you know, the deal, you know, deploying overseas. I worked for the State Department for Triple Canopy first, doing, you know, the ambassador protection and whatnot. And then I got recruited to OGA, which for you guys stands for Other Government Agency. And I was on like a clandestine program. And I would train sporadically in and out, you know, between deployments, find a group of guys that would train downrange. We train a little bit. So I was like a white belt for like 11 years, you know, no home, like a Ronin. You know?
You got no one to promote you.
No one to promote me.
So you're stuck at a certain belt, but your skill isn't stuck at a certain level.
Yeah, it was so sporadic though. You know, I'd train for a month or two, and then I'd go a month or two without training.
Yeah.
You know? And then I took an assignment over in Abu Dhabi, where I lived over there with my family. And Abu Dhabi, UAE, United Arab Emirates, imports Brazilian black belts to teach at their schools, to teach at their police academies, to teach at their military academies. And I became friends with a very, very highly competitive black belt. Started training almost privately with him, with just a couple other military guys that we worked with, and really like fell in love with the Brazilian culture of jiu-jitsu. And that's what really made me fall in love with it.
And I've talked about it on this show a lot, but the difference of being immersed in the culture of guys that moved here from Brazil.
Yeah.
And that's their life.
Yep.
Jiu-jitsu is everything.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is how they feed their family. Jiu-jitsu is how they pay their mortgage.
It gave them everything.
It gave them everything. And it also got them out of Brazil. And those guys have a whole different approach to it.
There's a different energy, man. There's definitely a different energy, you know. And like I said, I trained at an academy, and I traveled and visited other academies and stuff, and it's just not the same, you know. And that's what really kind of thrust me into, that's it, I'm doing this. So fast forward, you know, I spent 4 years in Abu Dhabi, moved back home, and I said, that's what I'm doing. I moved back home to the States, and I opened up my own academy.
So did you get your blue belt in Abu Dhabi?
Yes. Yeah. So I started training. One year to like the week, I got my blue belt from Thiago Bravo. And again, like I said, a year is fast to get your blue belt, but I'd been training for like almost a decade on and off. So it was a little different. And then I left there as a blue belt, spent 2 years as a blue belt, got promoted to purple belt by my current professor, Jeremy Humphreys, at my academy that I opened as a blue belt. But I had a black belt running it. Don't worry, people.
Yeah.
Got my purple belt in 2 years, and then spent 2 years as a purple belt and got my brown belt. So kind of a fast progression, but like I tell people, I train 3 to 4.5 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Yeah. And I always tell people that too. It's hours on the mat.
Yeah.
You don't want to break your jiu-jitsu down into months or years, because those can mean very different things. How many hours a week are you putting in? Yeah. Then I'll have an idea of how good this guy's probably going to be.
That's it.
But I mean, I've had that experience too, where guys will come to my academy that I got a guy now that's been a blue belt for like 8 years, and he's good, right? But you don't get to show up to an academy and because you're a good blue belt, and I'm going to tie a purple belt around your waist. I mean, I look forward to the day that I get to do that.
Of course.
But a big part of a promotion from an academy that is going off of vibe and energy and camaraderie is like, are you one of us?
Are you part of the team,
Are
bro?
you part of the team?
I don't care how good your jiu-jitsu is, you know?
And it takes a year.
Yeah.
I would say that's a good, you've put in a hard, solid year grinding with us. Now I can take into account the fact that you've been a blue belt for 8 years.
Right.
Let's look at tying that purple belt on your waist.
And you've been vetted. That year at your academy, that year being a teammate, a training partner, that's your vetting.
Yeah,
You know,
of course.
that's your vetting. And like I tell people all the time, like trust is earned over long, arduous time and stressful periods. You know, critical incidents is how you earn trust. Like I don't just fucking give you trust. Like, you know, you and I have known each other for a while, and now we've shot together and we've trained together, we've rolled together, we've freaking grinded, bro. Like, all right, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I think this guy is
Greg
solid.
looks like a badass, but now I trust him to really have my back if shit goes down. You know, like.
Yeah.
Like you got to earn that trust. I don't care who you are, you know, in our industry anyway. You know?
No, it's funny you say that. It's like we were talking about earlier today. We became homies long before we ever rolled. And then when we finally rolled, I was like, man,
Can't be a pushover.
I don't want to let Greg down. Like, cause yeah, I'm a black belt and Greg's a brown belt, but in the world of jiu-jitsu, that there's lots of brown belts that smash black belts. And you never know what you're going to get until you put your hands on someone.
Right.
You never know.
Right.
And so, yeah, that was funny, man.
And styles and just everything, like, you know, and yeah, he beat me, guys. All right. But I didn't go down easy. All right.
Oh, man. So if we could take it back, and you can tell me to fuck off, we don't have to talk about this, but you went from law enforcement
Yes.
to military contracting.
Yes.
You bypassed the military part
I bypassed the
of
military.
military contracting. And the reason I think that's an interesting topic is because, I mean, you got hired by the same company I got hired by, and they said, we don't accept resumes unless you come from a special operations unit.
Yep.
Period.
And it was still that way. It was that way when I got hired.
And so I was like, wait, how did this happen? You know? And we've talked about it before. It's actually been a harder path for you because everywhere you showed up, people would be like, hey, what SEAL team were you on? What Ranger battalion you're out of? And you're like, actually, I'm a New Orleans cop.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shitbird.
shitbag.
Yeah.
Until they see you shoot, until they see you PT, until they grapple with you, until they see you run a motorcade or do an advance. And like, oh, okay, you're dialed in.
Yeah.
But right out of the gates, you're kind of like a step behind having to play catch up. You know?
I gotta prove my worth at every team or to every new team member, you know, my entire career. So
And one of the first things Seth said about you when we made the connection that we both knew you, he goes, and Seth was a Navy SEAL and a military contractor as well. And he's like, fucking Lapin, man. He was a cop. And now he outshoots every single one of us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, your reputation was preceding itself. But talk to people about how that kind of played out.
So it's funny. So like I said, I was a cop in New Orleans, and I'm at the dog park with my two boxers chilling. And I think I was wearing a Blackwater shirt actually, because I had gone to a couple shooting schools at Blackwater at the time. Just I wasn't a contractor for them. I just got sent up there to go to shooting schools, you know?
Back when Blackwater shirts were acceptable.
Yeah, exactly. Back when the bear paw was a cool thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I do not have a bear claw tattoo. I never worked for Blackwater, you know? And I'm at the dog park, and this guy comes over to me, and, you know, he's just got that look, you know? He said, oh, you work for Blackwater? I was like, no, you know, I went up there to a couple schools. I'm a cop here. We started talking. He's a former Green Beret, former SF guy, and he was he was on the original Cars ID detail.
Okay.
For DynCorp. He's original Cars ID KPD guy.
I thought those were all CAG guys. So a couple SF guys squeezed in.
Yeah, and there were a couple
huh?
team guys. There were a couple of Navy SEALs in that whole original Cars ID detail, but it was run by mostly unit guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started talking, and he's like, oh, I work for Triple Canopy. And he was one of the guys kind of heading up the training program, right? I was like, cool. And we started talking. And now this was after Katrina, and the police department was a wreck. And he's like, hey, you want to get out of policing and go work for Triple Canopy? I was like, I don't know. Do I? He's like, yeah. I was like, I thought they only hired soft guys. And this was early on.
And he's like, they do.
He's like, they do.
But I met you 5 minutes ago and I think you're cool.
Right, pretty much. We had built a little relationship over the months and stuff.
Okay.
We had built a little relationship. I was taking him to the shooting range that we used in New Orleans. And he's like, damn, this fucking dude's squared away. And so he's like, look, here's the deal. I'm going to vouch for you and your resume. Otherwise, you'll never get in through the door. I'm going to vouch for your resume. They're going to bring you up to selection. And it was still selection back then.
Yeah.
You know the deal.
Yep.
He's like, when you show up there, you don't know me. You don't look at me. You don't say hi to me. You don't know who I am. And I don't know you.
So he was part of the selection cadre?
He was not necessarily part of the cadre. He was like one of the manager of the train. But
he was
there.
around.
He was around. He's like, but you don't know me. You don't tell anyone you know me. You're just fucking Greg Lapin. You got here. How'd you get here? You're not a soft dude. I don't know. I sent my resume in, and that's it. So I went up there, and back in those days, I think if I remember correctly, we had like 36 dudes show up for the training course. And like day one, dude, I remember it was at BSR, Bill Scott Raceway. And day one, we get driven up to the little cabins in the vans, right? And 30-something dudes, all former soft dudes, and me come bebopping in this little classroom. And the cadres all standing in a line, all up front. And fuck, they're like all imposing, serious dudes, right? And he's like, guys, your names are on the tables in alphabetical order. Find your name and have a seat. So everyone's walking around looking for their name, sitting down, whatever. The last guy walking around looking for his name, they go, hey, sir, what's your name? And he told them their name. Hey, sir, grab your bags, go outside.
Oh, damn.
Boom, day one, right out the gate. Didn't even start. Hey, guys.
You can't alphabetize. We don't want you here. Huh?
Seriously, then that's what it was. Like, hey, guys, if you can't find your fucking name in alphabetical order, you're the last one. Boom, gone. Because that means there's 35 other dudes better than you in this room.
Wow, dude.
And I was like, damn. So long story short, I think they graduated 16 of us. And I found out after the fact because my buddy told me because they sat down every night and went through every candidate, photo, how they're doing. And he's like, afterwards, he's like, bro, you graduated second in the class.
Nice.
He's like, the only reason you didn't graduate number one, your scores were all better, but the guy number one came from a soft background.
So that gave.
And the experience.
I see.
Gave him a higher rating.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, cool. So basically, throughout my contracting career, I knew that I had no opportunity to give anyone a sliver of a doubt in me. I had to be better than everyone. I had to be more squared away than everyone. And I don't care if it was policing stuff or shooting or PT or fighting or freaking land nav, whatever it was. So I made sure I was squared away. If I didn't know it, I found someone that I trusted. Dude, teach me everything there is about this. So I could show up to a new team and they could say all they want about me not having soft background, but they couldn't say that I did anything worse than anyone else on the team,
Well, and the whole reason why companies like that want to hire dudes with a soft background, it's, yes, the skill set is there, right? But more importantly than the skill set is the mentality.
For sure.
And through selection, they obviously were able to put together like, oh, this guy has our mentality.
Yeah.
Your eyes are open. Your mouth is shut. I'm here to learn. I'm here to work hard. You can do a lot with that guy. And that's why, I've talked about this on the previous contract episode. Rangers were very successful in the contract world because we come with a obviously very physically fit, good shooting, moving, and communicating skill set. But more importantly than that is like the Ranger regiment is still very disciplined.
Yeah.
And it's dress right dress. And it's, hey, this guy's giving you orders and you're going to just stand there. You're going to take it all in and then you're going to go work as hard as you can.
That's right.
And so at Triple Canopy Selection, I went with a few Rangers and same thing. We were like 22, 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
But we knew how to show up, work hard, PT our asses off, and we could shoot good. Like coming out of the Ranger regiment, you can't shoot pistol well as a Ranger, but you can run a rifle, right? Yeah. And so we saw other guys that were like career SEALs, career SF that showed up with an attitude more along lines of like, hey, I've been there, done that.
I thought they'd already earned their spot.
And they didn't give a fuck about that.
Right.
And those were the guys that they sent packing, and we saw that over and over and over. And and I don't know how your selection was, but our selection was, it was half like, I would say it would be half you're being monitored while you conduct a skill, right? Where you're shooting or you're driving. But then the other half of it is you're also being taught how to do things the way Triple Canopy expects you to do it. And I saw a lot of SF guys question, be like, well, I think during motorcade ops, it's better if, and insert whatever here.
Right. Back in ODA, we did it this way. Oh, well, guess what?
And guess what? That way might be good. That way might have worked for you. And that way might work for you in the future. But right now, shut your fucking mouth.
And do what you're told.
And get the job. Once you're downrange and you're on a team, and then you become vetted with that team and a trusted teammate, now you can say, hey guys, we used to do this. What do you think of that?
Right.
And the guys will sit down and maybe you'll implement that. Maybe that'll become part of your SOP. But you don't fucking have the common sense to just shut up and fucking make it happen.
Bro, I think at the time it was 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what mine was.
Because it was 3 weeks. Because it's prior, like now that there's official WIPS 2, like WPS 2, it's a longer, kind of more McDojo bullshit course.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, it was 3 weeks of selection, and same thing. Like it's a 3-week job interview, is what it is.
Yep.
And they teach you something, and they're looking immediately who is grasping these concepts the way we want them to the quickest. Who's not grasping it, or who's just doing their own thing, because that's what they're used to.
So your homie's there right now. I don't know if you want to throw his name out on the podcast or not, but the cadre reached out to me because I got cadre members that were with me back in the day.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so my homie he's up at SOC. Yeah, he's at SOC training because someone said, yeah, Greg was telling so-and-so, give me a bunch of shit.
No, I don't know. Well, I'm assuming he dropped my name at some point because the cadre sent me an email like, hey, do you know this guy? Because it sounds like he's saying he knows you. And I was like, I met him. I went to the range with him. He's a cool dude. Like, seems good to go, man. And he wrote back and he goes, he is good to go. I agree. He seems like a real cool dude. Cool. And I was like, all right, sounds like it's all good. But
well, we've been talking every day on the phone at like lunch break and whatnot.
You can send him some shit now.
Yeah. Fucking name dropper.
So then you got, how quickly after selection did you deploy?
Man, I think pretty quickly, if I remember correctly. I think I was home for like a month.
Okay.
I was home for a month. In my first place, they didn't have any spots in Iraq for me, and they had a brand new contract in Haiti. So my first place was in Haiti.
Oh, really?
Prince, yeah. So I went to Haiti and Port-au-Prince.
That's actually cool because all the contracts were Iraq.
Yeah,
I did cool. 12. It'd have been nice to change them up, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It was a little obviously more chill than Iraq was.
Yeah.
But we had a legitimate threat there. We had a legitimate job. We were there actually during an attempted coup and had to go evac the MSG Marines out of their house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bro. Like roadblocks, cars on fire, tires dragged out. Like
typical third world shit.
It was legit, bro. We had to go evac the Marines because the locals knew the Marines lived in that house. They weren't allowed to bring their weapons home. We all had our weapons all the time with us.
Yeah.
So we had to go evac the Marines.
How silly that sounds.
It's ridiculous.
They weren't allowed to bring their weapons with us.
I know.
People are always shocked to hear, like, even in Iraq and Afghanistan, 99% of the weapons, everyone has to have a weapon with you at all times. Have a weapon.
They're unloaded.
They're all unloaded. Yeah. Like, and to tell you the truth, that's probably better off.
It's way better,
because you have NDs all fucking day.
Bro, I saw a freaking Air Force, a female Air Force officer ND 3 times into a clearing barrel.
3 times
before she realized that she had to remove the magazine out of her gun before she racked a round out of the chamber.
All right, so let me unpack this a little bit for people that are listening. When you go into a military chow hall in any type of combat zone, they understand that people that are coming outside of the wire, they have weapons that have been loaded. So they have what's called a clearing barrel. Because once you go in the chow hall, a lot of the military people sling their weapons on their back. I would never do that. It's disgusting. Yeah. but then there's no trigger discipline. It's just flopping around back there.
Selectors not covered.
Yeah. So you have, if that's how you're going to carry your weapon, it has to be unloaded, has to be cleared. So they have what's called clearing barrels near the entrance of the chow hall. And it's like a 55-gallon drum filled with probably sand with a hole cut in it. I mean, the hole is probably as big around as like...
It's like, I don't know, maybe like a 4x4 square. It's big enough for your muzzle to go in, you know, more or less.
And then the rest of it is just like some kind of thin sheet metal or whatever. Aluminum.
Filled with sand, usually sandbags around it, whatnot.
And anytime, if you ever deploy from this moment forward, if you're a military guy, look at the clearing barrels and you're going to see they are all riddled with bullet holes. There's 100 bullet holes in them. And it just makes like maybe one every once in a while. You'd be like, oh, fuck, someone fucked up there. Right. No, it's not someone fucked up there. That's a thing. Like, I don't know how to clear my weapon properly, so I just go up and I wonder what the ramifications are if you ND into a clearing barrel.
I don't know. This chick did it 3 times. We just stood there and kind of watched before we said anything.
It's like, yeah, at least your weapon was pointed at a clearing barrel, but at the same time,
pull your head out of your ass.
Pull your fucking head out of your ass. Yeah. I know even in the Ranger Regiment, like, and we weren't a tier 1 unit, but in ND, you're kicked out. You're gone.
Oh, yeah.
And that's actually something that, I mean, we would look at that sometimes as almost kind of harsh because we've lost some good dudes from that. Sure. And the units lost some good dudes from that. And you know what they say? It's like, there's 2 types of shooters, guys that have had NDs and guys that are going to have NDs. Like, and I know that's kind of given a pass, right?
Yeah.
An ND's bullshit. And that's why you get kicked out of the units for them.
And I discern an ND, like if you and I are on the range, right? We're standing on whatever, 7-yard line and we're working speed from the holster. First round hit. Hey, let's see how fast we can get out of the holster and get a round on target. And you bang a shot off low into the ground.
Yeah.
Because you were just too fast on the trigger. That's not an ND.
No,
right?
no.
You are consciously getting the gun out there. That's an error in fundamentals and timing, right? Mm-hmm. So let's fix it. An ND is like standing around chilling with your bang, whoa, you know, like,
yeah,
right? But agreed, like same thing. Everywhere I went after law enforcement, you have one ND, boom,
you're gone.
Done. You're PNG'd from that program.
Dude, we had a guy, and this was when I was in 2nd Battalion. We were deployed to Afghanistan, and it's actually good on them. A group of privates was like, hey, we want to work shotgun breaches. But we weren't out at the range. They just wanted to practice getting the 45 out, the 45 up, and racking it, boom, racking it, kicking, flowing in the door, right? And so he went and grabbed a shotgun, and I don't know where it went wrong. Probably he looked in the chamber and nothing was in there.
Right, but he didn't look in the tube.
Didn't look in the tube. And so they're just out there drilling, going through it. Boom. Shoots the fucking door of our hooch. Yeah. And he got sent home and kicked out of regiment for that. Yeah. You know?
That's an ND.
That's an ND.
That's an ND, bro. Yeah.
Failure to clear your weapon, you know?
Right. Failure to know the condition of your weapon, you know, and you're not intending to fire the gun.
Yeah.
Right.
So he should have just been lazy and played his Game Boy on his cot instead of trying to be proactive right. in practice breaches.
Lesson to all you.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, you know what I say? Just be squared away.
Yeah.
Just be squared away. Attention to detail. I tell my kids, 9-6, and they get hammered. Guys, attention to detail. You know, it's critical, and it's not pushed or taught anymore.
And it's actually easy.
It's super easy.
Especially with firearms.
Absolutely.
Like if we are sitting in a circle with 6 of our peers and I just bought a new Glock, oh dude, let me check that out. When I hand it to you, you're going to clear it and make sure that it is 100% unloaded.
Right.
Before you do anything else. The guy sitting next to you just watched you do that whole process.
He'll do it.
And when you hand it to him, he's going to do it. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, the guy holding the weapon is responsible for it. He can't have an ND and then look and be like, well, I thought Greg cleared it. That's not how it works. Right. And I mean, that is, at least in the military, that was ingrained in us in a manner where if you even fucking flag someone's pinky toe,
bad, bro,
you're low crawling in the mud.
Yeah.
you know?
Get down and beat your face.
Yeah. And dude, if I'm like working on my guns or I'm clearing them or unloading, and I got a little Jack Russell and a Chihuahua that like chase me around the house and always want attention and shit and dropping their ball.
Jumping up. Yeah.
Like they come running. I just instinctually move my muzzle because I don't want to flag the dogs.
Yep.
You know?
Bro, it's, you know, and it starts young and like I pride myself. I joke around and I'm, you know me, like we fuck around as friends, but I'm a pretty humble guy, you know, and I drove up here with Dan. And for those of you who don't know, I drove up with a good friend of ours who's a former Navy SEAL, and he came out of Dev Group 2, which is like Tier 1 Navy SEAL. And he's a double amputee, so he needs help getting around. So Paul and I went to Dallas and drove him up here. And I did the majority of the driving, the navigation, and getting him in and out and stuff. And, you know.
So Paul just shitbagged out?
Paul was doing a lot of work. Paul was doing a lot of work on this computer. Buy, sell, buy, sell, you know. No, but we shared duties, making sure we all got up here. But he was like, fuck, Lapin, you are squared away. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. I've had to be squared away my entire life. Like, yeah, I don't, you know, it's like, that's the way we live. That's the way you are, you know, whether it's our jiu-jitsu or our kids, our parenting, everything, you know, it's just, and you make it a habit. You make it part of your life. It's easy.
Yeah. No, it's the community rallying in Coeur d'Alene this weekend. It's been pretty humbling, you know? I mean, everybody that knew Seth knew what a monster he was and just what a good down-to-earth dude he was that would give you the shirt off his back. Yep. And I know that's like a cliche thing to say. He would literally do that.
Yeah. Well, you know? Usually he wasn't wearing a shirt. So
yeah, he could give you his shirt that was already on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
But it's been cool to see everybody come together. You know, part of the SEAL tradition is to hammer the trident into the top of the coffin.
Yep.
And so because they did Catholic mass that was like super formal, they didn't get to go through that part. Right. And they're going to do it tomorrow on a wooden flag.
Yeah, because he's cremated.
Yeah, that one of the SEALs had made for him. And then they asked me, they said, hey, we'd like you to do that as well with your Ranger crest. And obviously I didn't bring a Ranger crest to Coeur d'Alene. So I got on Facebook and I hit up the Ranger. It's called Brotherhood of a Scroll. It's a Facebook page where all former and present Rangers can just communicate and just said, hey guys, here's the deal. This is what I'm looking for. Who can square me away? And in no time I had guys who are like, I'll drive one to you. I'm an hour away.
Did you get it?
I already have it.
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
Oh yeah.
And I told one of the guys that said he had one, he was actually in Spokane. So it was like a 40-minute drive. And I was like, bro, I'll come to you. Like, you're hooking me up, you know?
Yeah.
But then I had another guy that was in Tacoma that he's like, hey, I'm heading to Idaho pretty quick anyways. I'll grab one and I'll link up with you. Just a bunch of dudes that are just looking to square away a fallen brother, you know?
For sure. It was, you know, we all know the cost.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately.
And so, and it was actually nice to see. I don't know if you follow any of those type of pages or not, but.
You know, I don't know. I don't, because I still believe staying in my lane.
Yeah.
You know, so I wasn't a Ranger.
True.
I wasn't an SF guy. I wasn't a SEAL. I do belong to some law enforcement, SWAT type tactical pages, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I try to stay in my lane. I never, ever, your reputation is all we have.
Yeah.
And that's why I have a good name in a community really filled with soft guys, because I've got a good reputation. And I never, ever want to even just
even give the perception that you're trying to be something that you weren't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
No, but I mean, fuck, dude. These groups that are supposed to be Rangers staying connected and helping each other out, and maybe little things like this or bigger things, like if somebody passes and we got to help his family move or that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And dude, over the last 6 months, they have become so toxic because everybody's focused on the election.
Right.
And Rangers are like most soft guys. They're typically conservative, constitutionalists, like most military-minded people.
Right.
But there's a few people in the groups that have a differing opinion. And it's just been nothing but 6 months of fighting. And I've posted a couple times. I'm like, bro, like that's what CNN and Fox News is for. We can't have that in our Ranger community.
No way.
What the fuck is this? You know? And to the point where I've actually thought about deleting myself from it because every time I look at my phone, it's Rangers arguing about Trump 2020 and what a piece of shit he is and how awesome he is. And it's like, it's cool. Have your opinion, man. And I've shared my opinion. People know that I'm going to vote for Donald Trump, but I don't want every single aspect of my life to be consumed by that shit.
Of course not. You know, and fuck, the whole social media arguing thing boggles my mind.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. And I really, truly believe a lot of the reason our society's in the state it's in is because people can say whatever the fuck they want now.
With zero consequences.
With zero repercussions, zero consequences. And it's like, you know, I literally had a talk with another grown man once, and this was a couple years back. I said, look, we can have this discussion. We can disagree. But the second if you keep raising your voice, the next step from you yelling at me is physical violence.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep yelling at me, I'm not going to tolerate it, and we're going to get down.
Yeah, I'm not going to stand here and be berated.
Right. Or we can have a civil conversation and disagree. I'm cool with that. But you're going to yell at me, guess what? I'm going to fucking spike you on your head.
Dude, there's a lot of lessons that young men need to learn that they're not learning anymore.
100%.
I did a podcast. I think it was episode 15 with a good friend of mine. His name's Stefan.
Okay, I listened. Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm your biggest fan, Greg.
you better be, since we have a bromance going on. But yeah, in that podcast, and the dude has a photographic memory. It's scary how well he remembers details. But he's like, yeah, remember in second grade when I told you I did karate and you said, oh, so if you do karate, you think you're tough? And he goes, yeah, I do think I'm tough. And I said, okay, then we're fighting at recess. We're going to see who's tougher. And I lost that fight.
Yeah.
And I haven't thought of that in 30 years or whatever it's been. But when he told me that, I was like, oh, fuck, that's right, dude.
Bro.
And there's a lot to be gained because I'm a 7-year-old little fucking kid that doesn't know anything, but you're on the path to becoming a man.
Yeah.
And just part of a natural growth of a man is testing the waters, kind of seeing where you fit in, finding the pecking order.
Where are you in the pack?
Yeah, where am I in the pack? And I was like, well, if this dude's telling people he does karate, he wants to be higher in the pack than me.
That's right. I can't have that.
I can't have
This
that.
is my hood.
So we're going to fight.
That's right.
Kids don't do that shit anymore. Or if they do, they get in trouble and it's like
the cops come and lawyers want to sue and the parents like, kids need a fist fight.
I've been in 100 fist fights between the age of, apparently they started at 7.
Massively, yep.
And 20 years old. And that's the period of time where it's imperative that you figure out who you are, but more importantly, who you aren't.
That's right.
I say that a lot in jiu-jitsu too. Jiu-jitsu will show you who you aren't.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have this misconception. Well, if this really went down the way like that, I'd just poke him in the eye and I could bite him. And it's like, well, try and bite me.
That's dude.
Try and bite me and see what happens.
Go ahead. Let's go.
You know what I mean?
You want to hit me?
Because here's the thing. You might bite me, but I can fucking bite you too.
Yeah.
But I can also shoot doubles. I can also mount. I can also break arms. Like there's a different thing when you know how to fight, you know? And so that starts young though. Like prior to training, just kind of figuring out who you are as a person. And now you can't do it anymore. You get in a fight, automatic suspension, dude.
It's ridiculous.
And then now you add an upbringing where there's no physical violence, and now everyone's staring at their phones. And just like you said, oh, this guy said something that I don't like. Fuck you, pussy. Even though he's never said that to someone's face.
Right.
And
he's never been punched in the mouth. He doesn't.
And there's no repercussions.
Right.
And it's almost to a point where I think social media might be like the fucking downfall of our society. Dude.
I've been saying it for years, and I'm really disgusted with it, you know?
And it's a double-edged sword because there's so many awesome aspects to it. Like what we're fucking doing right now. We're talking, just me and you, in a hotel room in Idaho.
YouTube.
It's going to be on YouTube. And a lot of people that are interested in jiu-jitsu guys or gun guys are going to listen to this and they're going to take something positive away from it. And then there'll be some people who'll be like, those dudes are fucking gay. I don't know. I shouldn't have wasted an hour listening to them, but whatever, right? You're always going to have haters.
Right.
But aside from all the good, I feel like the social media platform is being overtaken by people that just want to spew negativity.
100%.
and it's exhausting, dude.
Just be nice.
Yeah,
Just be nice to
not
people,
that
man.
fucking
Like,
hard,
come on, just
right?
be nice to people, you know? Like, just do your own thing and just be nice, you know? It's crazy. So I listened to that episode with Stefan. When I heard that, I started laughing. I don't know if you saw the picture last month when I was at Joao's school, and a longtime buddy of mine that I haven't seen in 30 years, bro, lives out in California. He came down. We got a picture of us in the
I did
academy
see
together. So I moved out to California when I was about 9 years old, 4th grade, and I was a new kid in the school. Same fucking thing, dude, to a T. So my buddy Brian, right? He was like the toughest kid of the school, the bully of the school. And lunchtime on the football field in the back during recess or whatever it was, dude, we got down, right? And we just punched. Feel that shit?
Yeah.
We just punched the shit out of each other, right? And we were best friends after that. Dude, best friends. The entire time I finished living in California, which was like the next 4 or 5 years, dude, we were the tightest of homies. And then he reached out to me. Then I moved away. We went our separate ways. We're grown men now. We're in our 40s, you know?
Uh-huh.
And we hadn't seen each other talk since like 14 years old. And he hit me up, and dude, it's like we reconnected, like didn't even lose a beat, you know? So it keeps you grounded, you know?
And there's something to be said for like going through an experience like a fist fight with someone, even though you might be like super angry at the time, like fuck this person, right? Sometimes that experience bonds you.
100%.
You see in the UFC all the time, dudes are talking shit, fuck you, like, you know, like during the fight, talking shit to each other. The build up is just ruthless. And then after they beat the fuck out of each other, you see it in their eyes, just a big hug, like, hey, it's all cool, bro, you know? And that's, part of that's marketing, but part of it's also like, that's an experience they shared together, and that helps them put that shit behind them, you know?
Dude, like, I mean, today's a perfect example. After we rolled, like, I legitimately, like, when I have a hard grinding roll where it's like, it's pretty close and we're like really trying to like beat each other, you know, like I'm really trying to smash you. You're really trying to smash me. Like if I can choke you unconscious, I will, you know?
Yeah.
And then when we finish,
we're going to go get Pokeballs.
We like really embrace each other. Like I love it. Like that's like, bro, we were just freaking warriors, you know? And like, let's hug it out now, you know?
No. And I'm actually going to use that picture that we took for this episode's thumbnail picture, because that kind of speaks for what this trip meant to me, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Yesterday when we got in, we went to the funeral and everybody immediately started drinking alcohol. And it's the soft community. And I've talked about it before on here.
Of course.
Alcohol and SEALs, alcohol and Rangers, like they go hand in hand. And a lot of those dudes drink to their own detriment.
100%.
And it got crazy last night. And they're also mourning the loss of one of their teammates. And so they're drinking their woes away. And I don't fault them at all. Like that used to be how I fucking handled shit. Just party and drink and drink and drink. But I was the designated driver. So I drove them from the bar up to the ranch. And then Jen said, hey guys, I'm ready to go to bed. And they're like, we're not done partying. Let's go back to the bar. So I drove them back to the bar. And the whole time I'm thinking, because, you know, like, Greg, have a shot with me. Have a shot. And I ended up doing one shot and one beer just because I want to, you know, I don't drink alcohol.
Right.
That's also a way to alienate yourself amongst these people.
It's unfortunate, but it is.
It's the truth, right?
Yeah.
And tomorrow they're already talking about the toasts and passing around the bottle of Maker's Mark. And guess what? I'll be taking pulls off it too.
I'll tip a glass. Like, you know, I tipped a glass of whiskey the night I found out Monkey died.
Yeah.
And I'll tip a glass tomorrow.
But the back of my mind, I kept thinking, dude, me and Greg are going to Seth's Jiu-Jitsu Academy to train tomorrow. I don't want to be hungover. I don't want to get so drunk that I miss that. Like, dude, Seth, you own a jiu-jitsu academy. I own a jiu-jitsu academy. And Seth owns a jiu-jitsu academy that he built from the ground up. He just got his black belt in July. Right. And then he fucking passed a few months later. And for me, the most special way to honor who he was and the connection that we had, dude, let's go hit his mats.
Let's go make him proud, dude. Let's go fucking grind. Seth was a wild man.
Yeah.
You know, and we all had our share of drinking and being crazy, but at the same time, he fucking worked his ass off. Mm-hmm. And for me, personally, you know, I think that going out and getting shit-faced drunk and hammered and acting like an asshole is more about yourself than the person you lost. I don't want to mourn Seth. I'm not going to mourn him. I'm going to celebrate the fact that we fucking knew him.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, like picking up Danny in Dallas, driving him up here, having a boys trip, freaking making sure his family's taken care of, going to his academy and just grinding for an hour and a half and being warriors he would be proud of that shit.
Yeah.
It's not about us really, you know, like we talked about it. I told my wife, I said, babe, get ready. I said, I'm telling you now, every day I'm going to be a little bit more like Monkey. You know?
Yeah.
Just let him live on, dude.
What did you do today that was legendary?
What did you do?
And you know what was legendary? Fucking rolling with all those black belts and a brown belt.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And that freak of nature wrestler.
Good Lord. Hey, a Pan's metal brown belt.
That's right. So fuck, man. Like, it's bittersweet that it takes something like this to get all the guys together. You know, it's like, it's great seeing everybody, and there's so many friends that we haven't seen for years.
Yep.
And like some of those guys I was deployed with to Ramadi back in 04, 05, you know?
Yep.
And then immediately it just became absolute debauchery. But dude, that's not like, it's just like you said, when you're doing that, is that celebrating that person, or is that your way of trying to deal with these emotions?
Yeah.
And this is something that I talk about often. Like, I feel like I'm trying to become more in touch with my emotions as a 40-year-old man. If you told me that when I was 30, I'd be like, you're fucking gay, dude.
Pussy.
Yeah, you're a pussy.
Yeah.
Like, men don't cry.
Yep.
But dude, I've fucking cried a gallon of tears for Seth, you know? And I'll talk about it with my wife. I'll talk about it with the boys. Like, if people have questions about it, like, I'm going to be open. And I think just like talking about those experiences and who he is to you, the podcast that dropped yesterday, I just sat down with this mic and talked about him and what he meant to me for an hour, you know? That's what's going to help you make sense of all this.
Absolutely.
You know, not just sitting down and the funny thing is a couple of them in my 4Runner, when we were driving back to the bar, they even verbalized it. They're like, we're just going to drink our sorrows away. It's like, and then one of them, and I don't even know these guys, right? I was never a SEAL. Rangers and SEALs cross paths, but we're separate communities, you know? And then, so I don't even know who's saying what, but I heard one of them, and there was like a guy in my very back. He's like, I'm your trunk monkey today. And he goes, so someone in the very back is like, hey, you know, crying's actually good for you. I was like, all right, there's one guy back there. He's hammered, but he's kind of getting
it. Bro, dude, I've said this, you know, like since kids in particular, you know, like, I joke around saying I've turned into a total pussy, you know.
Yeah.
I'm super emotional, but here's the thing with type A guys, right? And we are, you know, not to pat ourselves on the back, but we are about as alpha male as they come. Just being an alpha male means we're passionate. Mm-hmm. That means we're passionate about fighting, about killing, but we're also passionate about loving, and caring, and protecting, you know. So, I cry all the time. I'm still a bad motherfucker.
Did you reach a point in your life where you learned about your emotional side, or have you kind of been in touch with that forever?
No, honestly, it happened about 3 years ago for me.
Okay.
So like 39 years old.
For me, it was 35. Like, I literally remember like the day it happened. Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Sitting in a counselor's office and she's unpacking me. Bro, and I was like,
I was shrinking. Yep.
And you know, and even before we started, she's like, hey, here's a box of tissues. And I'm thinking in my head, bitch, I don't need that shit. This is because for anyone listening, that if you think you don't have issues and you've done 14 combat deployments, you're lying to yourself. You know,
we all have some issues.
And I didn't think that I had any issues. I went to the VA and I just filled out a questionnaire. They're like, I don't know if you know my whole background, but I was medically out processed to the military for an injury to my eye. And so going through all the VA stuff, they said, okay, have you ever been exposed to an IED? Yes. Have you ever been exposed to RPG fire? Yes. Indirect fire? Yes. And then they're like, how many times? And I'm like,
I lost count.
yeah, I'm not trying to sound like John Rambo, but I've probably been mortared 150 times.
Easy.
Something like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was a daily occurrence for
Every
a
day.
long time.
Sometimes morning and evening.
And so, and you know, sometimes those mortars would literally hit the back of your hooch and like fucking ring your bell and shatter all the windows of the building that you're in. Like fucking danger close shit, right? And so as I'm answering these questions, the guy goes, well, we're gonna scan you for TBI. Just based on what you're saying.
Right.
You're high risk for TBI. We're also going to send you to a counselor. And I'm thinking like, I don't want to go to a counselor. What are they talking about? But it was like a package deal. And these are the things that I needed to do if I wanted to receive VA benefits and be part of the system.
Right.
And so part of that was the counseling. And I went to that with a full understanding. I'm checking this block.
Right.
Because they want me to do this.
I have to go here.
Best fucking thing that ever happened to me, dude. And like, it's actually sad that young Rangers and young guys that have went through that kind of stuff are reluctant to just talk about it.
They're not there yet.
No, they're not there yet.
I get it. I wasn't there. Dude, 38 or 39 years old.
Yeah.
Shit was coming to a head in my personal life. I was having TBI issues. I was having like, I guess they call them like ocular seizures.
Uh-huh.
You know, where I was losing all my peripheral vision and it looked like I was looking through like underwater or spotlights and having issues, temperament issues, and
driving issues. Remember you told me about that?
Yeah. Road rage.
When getting home from deployment where your primary concern is IED. Yep. That's the biggest threat in Iraq. Your motorcade's moving and you're getting blown up and ambushed.
Bro, I sent you that text the other day.
Yeah.
I literally, dude, I'm driving up this on-ramp to get on the highway and I see a small propane tank sitting on the side on the shoulder and it had just fallen out of someone's pickup truck or a work truck or whatever, you know? I'm in sleepy little freaking, you know, Louisiana.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm literally driving by. I shift all the way left. I'm like, and then I got like a little rush of adrenaline, bro. And how many years later, you know? But yeah, those lessons don't go away, really.
But in you know, if you are a young Ranger listening to this talk, like, I feel like there's a balance to everything, but it's also good to a certain degree to be able to suppress those emotions while you're active duty.
Yeah.
While you are deploying, while you are watching kids get blown up and caught in the middle of crossfires and fucked up shit, because you're not going to be operational if you watch a kid get killed in Ramadi, Iraq, and then the next, you know, crying all night and really feeling those emotions that you should feel watching kids die.
Right. You got to compartmentalize it.
You got to compartmentalize it if you want to be combat effective.
Yep. And
so I think it's important for the military. And dude, I'm fucking getting old now. I turned 40 on Monday. So I don't know what the military is doing now, but I think part of ETSing, or that stands for, you know, getting out of the military, is addressing all that shit. Like, hey, we had you for 4 years. We ran you hard. You saw a lot of fucked up shit. Now let's work our way through some of that.
I think they're doing better than they were, but I see it lacking a lot. You know, I mean, another buddy of mine killed himself a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking put a gun in his mouth, you know, and it's like, it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you get effective help? You know, I was fortunate because I wasn't in the military. I saw a shrink, you know, that was not a VA shrink. So maybe a little bit of a better, you know, and he was a miracle worker, you know, and he really like changed my life around. Yeah,
it's sad, man. But I don't know. you know, there is no cookie cutter approach either,
No, everyone's different.
you know? Because, I mean, sometimes, and I started opening up about this stuff a lot more in 2019 because I lost 2 teammates to suicide. And you reach a point where you're like, okay, pretending to be someone you're not and just keeping it all in, that's not working for the guys. So let's start talking about this, you know? But I feel like a big problem with the military is, and I'm almost reluctant to say this, but the military is fucking easy. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's physically hard. It can be emotionally demanding at times, but hey, I need to be here at this time. This is what I'm expected to do. My objective is at this 10-digit grid. I need to be there by 0500. Guess what? We're walking all night, boys. Like, it's all good.
Yeah.
Even though it can be challenging, it's not difficult.
Right.
Real life, when you get out, becomes difficult. You're managing your wife's emotions. You're managing you not being able to pay your mortgage because your kid needed braces and now you don't know where that money is going to come from. And I mean, those are just 2 little things that pop to the top of my mind. Now magnify that 100 times with all the little shit that life throws at you. And I think a lot of veterans get overwhelmed with the stresses of real life after the fact, you know?
It's like being institutionalized. You know, they say the same thing about guys that get out of prison for a long time.
Yeah, I believe it.
And I can't relate to the military side of it per se, but
I think you can
relate to it was similar in contracting, you know, it's like
contracting deployments are almost identical.
Dude, I go off contracting and the switch gets turned on and I'm gone for however many months, you know, and it was easy. You get up at this time, you go PT with your team, you get dressed in this attire, you go to your intel brief, you play, you know, whatever it was. And it was easy. There was not a care. For me, when we went downrange, time stateside stood still.
Mm-hmm.
It stood still. I didn't pay it any mind because you have to focus on the mission, you know?
Yeah.
And then you come home and it's like, it's multifaceted now. You're getting hit from all angles.
Uh-huh.
Whereas like downrange, you know what you got to do.
Yeah.
You got to put kit on and go do work, you know?
And the threat is somebody killing you.
Right.
That's the biggest problem that you have downrange.
Which actually, not to sound tough at all, but it kind of becomes like easy. Like I'm cool with that. Like,
Yeah, everybody down, dude. Not only did all the guys on the team come to terms with that, but it becomes expected.
Right.
You know, I was like, I know the game I'm playing.
I know the stakes.
I'm probably not going to make it out of here.
Yeah.
And I feel like that mentality actually made me be able to do my job better.
Yeah,
because it's like, okay, I'm waking up. Maybe today's going to be the day. If not, we're going to fucking train jiu-jitsu and we're going to do deadlifts tonight.
Right.
And tomorrow night is going to be fucking sandbag carries. You know, like you just work, then you work out, and then you just hang out with the guys.
Rinse and repeat, bro.
You know, every single day. And I mean, I feel like I'm a creature of habit. I perform my best when, hey, this time you need to be here. Then we're going to, like you said, hit the chow hall, and then we're going to go on our op, and we're going to go to the government center. We're going to be there for 3 hours, and just boom, 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 day in and day out. Dude, I thrive in that environment. And that's why running my own business, I talk about this a lot, dude. Like, yeah, my passion is jiu-jitsu, and I love it, but there's so many variables that can change that I'm not in control of. That's a hard thing for me, you know?
I mean, I think you can, though. Same thing, you know, I'm running my academy, but like,
dude, like listening to you talk about your academy, and me and Jenny were just talking about it on the drive to the airport. She's like, he has a very like dress approach to how he runs his academy. Because something you said to her is like, this is my 2-year plan. This is my 5-year plan. Yeah. I've never once thought about where I'm going to be in 5 years with my academy. Yeah. And that's probably why I have half the members that you have, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I when I opened up, I set a goal. This is how many students I expect to have in a month. This is how many students I expect to have by 6 months. This is how many students I expect to have by a year. And I've actually, fortunately, and whether it's something that I was doing or luck or whatever, I surpassed all those goals. And
so what if you weren't? Let's say you didn't meet those goals. Does that mean back to the drawing board? You're going to reevaluate your advertising and your class schedule, just everything that you're doing.
I failed something.
Uh-huh.
You know, I failed something. Unless, obviously, you can set up very unrealistic goals.
Yeah, of
Set up
course.
slightly lofty, but realistic goals.
Uh-huh.
You know? And yeah, if I don't meet a goal, I drop the ball somewhere. You know, you keep hearing me talk about pans. You know?
Yeah.
I failed. I failed. That's the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to my professor. He saw the picture. Dude, how was training, man? It was awesome. You got a bunch of black belts on the mat. How'd it go? How'd you do? I was like, I think I did pretty well. Like, you know, like some of them whooped up on me kind of, but like they had to work for it.
Yeah.
You know, I did really well with one of them, blah, 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 you know. He's like, that's awesome. He's like, I was like, it's good though, but I'm a brown belt, you know, like, but I went in and I lost pans. That's the way I look at it. He's like, bullshit, dude. You're a fucking pan silver medalist, dude. I don't see it that way. Yes,
I know.
I am.
It's funny. I know. Well, here's the interesting thing about competition. You know, that you'll typically hear win or learn in jiu-jitsu, right? And I almost feel like that's an out to not go out there with the mentality
It is an out.
that I'm going to fucking win, right? And
It's a pre-built excuse.
And I'll tell you what, like people listening to me, I'm going to have my coach on in a couple weeks. You want to talk about mentality to win? That's him. I'm not a fucking good competitor. And it's actually bothered me at times because when I'm in good shape, I'm rolling a lot. My timing is on point. As you know, your timing is everything with jiu-jitsu. And I feel like I'm smashing everybody with just like a lot of aggression. I go out and I compete. It's very hard for me to pull that version of myself out on the competition mats.
Really?
And I don't know what that is, man. And there's been times when it's clicked. Like I won the Seattle Open at black belt.
Yeah.
The IBJJF Seattle Open. And I mean, that was my proudest moment in competition because it's like a major tournament. I won it at black belt. That validated my black belt for me.
For sure, 100%.
And everybody in my division flew up from California.
Yeah, so legit dudes.
I was the only guy. And it's funny because, you know, like before you compete, everyone has their earbuds in and they're like getting their game face. Yeah, you know. And then once you're all standing on the podium, it's all hugs and high fives and like, hey man, where are you from? Like how long you been training? Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, it's a jiu-jitsu community. We're fucking going to war. Now the war's over and we're there for each other. And I had the guys ask like, oh man, you felt really strong. Like I'm not used to guys feeling that strong at this weight class. Like what's up? And I was like, well, I used to weigh 225. That's a big part of like, I weighed 225 for a long time and I used to bench 400 pounds. Right. Like that was my thing. I want to get big and strong.
Right.
And then once I fell in love with martial arts, I realized being the big dude isn't very good.
Not as beneficial as people might think.
Everybody has like a point of diminishing returns.
Yes.
Like for me, weighing 225, yeah, I could bench a lot, but my gas tank was shit.
Yeah.
So once you get some squirrely purple belt on you, he would just tune me up. And I realized that's not the optimal body for me. So I got down. I mean, I used to fight at lightweight, you know? Like,
that's this guy.
Yeah,
right
bro.
Here,
I took an MMA fight one time at 155. And it's like, dude, I was 225 when I got into this game. But the interesting thing about it, I feel like your tendons and like your ligaments, a lot of you keeps that strength because that was just my life walking around at that weight. You know?
I think beyond, like, you definitely lose strength, right?
Yeah, of course.
But I think you understand subconsciously, you understand the concept of moving that weight around.
Mm-hmm.
And that in turn gives you that untapped strength. Similar to me, I used to weigh 190 pounds.
Okay.
185 to 190.
Well, it's funny you say that because when we were rolling today, I was like, yeah, dude, Greg feels like a middleweight.
I'm 162 pounds right now.
Yeah.
But I for years and years and years, for a decade or more, I rolled around at 185 to 190. Same thing, deadlifting, squatting a ton, like just moving a lot of weight. And when I decided I was going to start competing, I dropped down to lightweight. And honestly, that weight was too big for me.
Yeah.
I'm 162 pounds right now. I can eat breakfast, drink water, throw a gi on, step on the scale, and go compete at lightweight. And that's what the guys say. Holy shit, I've never fought a dude that felt as strong as you. And I think we're just used to being at that higher weight and moving around all that weight. So subconsciously it's like, "Ooh, that's heavy, fuck it," you know? And the last tournament I did before Pans, it was my last tournament as purple belt.
Tournament.
Okay. Tournament. Am I saying it fucked up?
That's some Louisiana shit.
So the last, how do you say it?
Tournament.
The last tournament, motherfucker. I competed at purple belt, and there was not enough guys in my division, so I bumped up to middleweight, and I weighed in 10 pounds under. You know, and I rolled through. I subbed everyone.
Nice,
gold
dude.
medal. You like killed, and they're like, they said the same thing. They're like, "Dude, how'd you feel so strong? Like, what do you weigh?" I'm like, "Dude, I weigh 168 pounds." They're like, "What?"
Yeah, and seeing you competing lately and seeing Joao go down and win Pan Ams, like
so
it is
motivating.
putting a fire back in me. It's like, dude,
Bro.
I got to lead from the front. I got to go do some of this, you know? But, you know, I would say I competed the most, probably like purple and brown belt.
Yeah.
And IBJJF is the biggest organization. Like you sign up at a weight, you're probably fighting at that weight.
You're fighting at that weight, or you're getting disqualified.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know?
You know?
Like if they had a guy who was a pound over.
Yeah.
1 pound over.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
But the smaller tournaments, I've cut weight to like 181 or whatever it was. And you show up and they're like, "Oh, there's no one in your bracket. We're going to bump you up to heavyweight." It's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
And that happened enough times. I'm like, you know what? Whatever I decide to fight at has to be just me walking around.
Absolutely. 100%.
Because you drain yourself. Cutting weight has become a thing because of the UFC and people see it, and cutting weight is mainstream. But in jiu-jitsu, you step off the scale and you're grappling in 45 seconds sometimes.
Yeah.
Like they call your name. You walk from the bullpen to the mat. Sometimes they call your name first.
Yeah.
Like that's it, dude.
There's no cutting weight. And, you know, I don't know. You can't cut weight that morning. You're going to be so gassed.
Yeah.
You know, you're going
But dude, a lot of guys do it, man. A lot of guys do it.
Yeah. Teach their own,
Yeah.
you know?
And then you got guys, do you know who Lucas Leitch is?
Oh, yeah. He was
So-
there. He was at Pans.
Oh, that's right. He was down there.
Yeah.
He's not a big guy.
No, he's about my size. He's a little taller than me, I think.
You know, he competes at heavyweight.
Really?
He goes up like 3 weight classes. You can sign up for whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. Mikey Musumeci signed up at heavyweight
Yeah.
this year.
You can't, obviously, like whatever you sign up for, like you said, you can't be a pound over, but you can be 30 pounds under.
Well under, yeah.
And so Lucas Leitch, his main training partners are Buchecha, Luis Ponza, Joao, Jackson Souza, like
Monsters.
all these giant monsters.
Dude, Ponza's huge.
And he's like, I feel better. My game is better suited against guys this size because that's what I deal with all day, every day.
And he's faster, more mobile.
It's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's fucking, I mean, multiple time world champion. So
Yeah.
the proof's in the pudding, you know?
Yeah. Dude, I know we're like rambling on about jiu-jitsu and we can get on to other topics.
People
but,
like jiu-jitsu, man.
dude, they should.
If they don't,
it's awesome.
unsubscribe.
That's right. But bro, it was like so motivating to watch Joao compete. And I was stoked because he competed the day before I competed.
Uh-huh.
And just same thing, like it's different, bro. The Brazilians, the whole thing is different. And I've always been like a super, super quiet, subdued, humble competitor. Like I don't shout, I don't yell, I don't like if the ref raises my hand, I don't raise, I don't do any of that. And I don't really believe in like showboating. Like be as gracious in defeat as you are in victory,
Of course.
sort of thing. But man, watching Joao in the finals, like yeah, he was so gassed and so tired, but he didn't show it. I was like, yeah, come on, let's go. You know, like fired up. And dude, I'm standing on the side of my mat for my finals, and I'm smoked, bro. Smoked. I didn't have the best camp beforehand because I had COVID and then the rib injury and stuff, and my cardio wasn't where it should be. My conditioning wasn't where it should be, and I'm gassed. And I look across the mat where Joao standing there coaching me, and I just see him. He's like, let's go, porrada, bro. And I'm like, And dude, the ref calls us out, and I sprint out to the ref and shake his hand. And I'm like, yeah, like, come on, let's go. Like, fired up, dude. You know, like, fuck it, let's go, man. Yeah, you're tired. So what? Everyone else is tired too.
Yeah.
Just Go.
Dude, the Brazilian culture they're just passionate people. They get really angry very easily, but they also like are when they're happy, they're happy, man.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been to, well, I mean, I'm sure you saw it at Pans because I would see it at Worlds every year. All the teams sit in their own section. So you got like Atos over here, Checkmat over here, Alliance, and they're all singing and
Checkmat.
That's right. And just celebrating in a way, like the energy that they get.
It's a family.
It's a different thing. You don't see that in Americans. I mean, that's really worldwide. Like a lot of the Europeans, if you go to you watch their soccer matches or whatever, they're invested in what the team's doing.
Yeah. Where
Americans just sit around and eat shitty foods and drink beer. It's like a different thing.
Yeah. Chips and beer watching a football game.
So if you think people are getting tired of jiu-jitsu, we can take it back to law enforcement, because I know you were a cop for a long time in New Orleans.
Yeah.
You were there through Katrina.
Yep.
And you've talked to me a little bit about Katrina, and I mean, you can tell what you can tell, right?
What's the statute of limitations, bro?
Crazy times down there, right?
Yeah, it was crazy times.
But tell people about what that was like being a police officer, because like any major event, most people are watching it through their iPhone or their television. And some of the conversations we had is like, oh, that sounds like fucking third world combat zone.
Yeah. And it for sure was, especially like the first week after. A lot of the drawn out, there's a lot of bullshit stories that people are saying, whatnot. And, the Navy SEALs blew up a levee to flood the city and blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of bullshit. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
But, I think to step back is, I got into law enforcement to be a crime fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care about writing tickets or catching speeders or working patrol. I went in to help people that couldn't help themselves and catch bad guys. That's all I cared about. Dude, I couldn't count on one hand how many tickets I wrote.
Yeah. And
the tickets that I wrote were simply because I was following and tracking someone in my investigation when I was with a special investigative unit. We needed the ticket for
I'm the same
whatever.
way. I've written under 5 tickets in my whole life.
Easy.
Fuck tickets.
Right, exactly. So for me, Katrina was a really cool event because we were either legitimately getting bad guys that were like extorting elderly that couldn't leave the city and stealing all their MREs and water and then trying to sell it back to them. Bad guys were going around using it to go around the city and shoot at police officers. So like for the first week, man, we got in a lot of shootings, like a war zone. And then the other half of that whole thing was we were going out on boats and helicopters and fucking rescuing families.
That had to be the most rewarding shit ever.
Yeah, dude. It was crazy, man.
So leading into Katrina, like how far out did you guys have an idea of the magnitude of the problem that you were about to be dealing with?
None, because the hurricane came in. Hurricane was pretty bad, right? Mm-hmm. We had a lot of storm surge, had a lot of rain. The hurricane passed us by. And okay, everything looks pretty good. Yeah, streets are flooded, whatnot. And I actually remember because I was, at the time, my unit, we were attached to a National Guard team with their big 5 tons and high water vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So we went out, we left our little station, right? And we went out to go through the whole city and check on the other districts and give them fresh radio batteries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And dude, we're out driving. And as we're coming back, we was, dude, the water's a lot higher. The water's a lot higher. The water just kept coming up, guys, because the levees had broken.
Okay.
Right. So now all the water's just flooding in and
That's right. I remember hearing that New Orleans is below sea level.
Yeah.
Is that's a true statement?
A lot of New Orleans is in a bowl, right? So the old parts of New Orleans, the French Quarter,
mm-hmm.
What's known as the Garden District.
Is that where you took me to get that terrible sandwich?
Yes. Yeah. That was uptown. Yeah. That was a bad sandwich.
That was
bro.
a bad sandwich.
I was like, is there actual chicken on this or what, man? That was a terrible sandwich. But yeah, so the old sections of New Orleans where they first settled, like the Spanish and the French settled in New Orleans,
mm-hmm.
obviously, they picked the high ground. Canal Street was an actual canal. Like there was water around the rest of the city. Well, over time, they started bringing in fill, and they started, filling in land areas and building up the city and then expanding the city. So the new areas are in a bowl. And dude, I was going around the city in a boat, in like a 20-something foot center console boat in the water, up to people's gutters, roofline gutters, climbing on the roof and hacking the roofs up with axes.
So there's 20 feet of water.
Oh, dude, we were going to easy in certain spots, easy.
And how big of an area? Like square miles? It's like a huge portion of the city?
Huge portion of the city. Huge portion of the city.
Dang, dude.
Yep. A very, very small little slivers here and there in the old areas didn't flood completely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then, everybody heard horror stories of, people are getting raped at the soccer dome,
Superdome,
or the Superdome. Yeah, I knew a guy that was flying Blackhawks for the National Guard, and he told me, dude, it's a fucking humanitarian aid mission. They didn't have fucking guns on the Blackhawks, They're taking fire when they're going to drop pallets of water off.
I flew as a door gunner on a. on one of the National Guard birds, because same thing, because
they didn't have them, so they're like, let's throw some cops with ARs.
Yeah, so I
think about how asinine that is, dude.
I grabbed my AR and they tasked me to fly with them, and I flew in the door. It was like a Bell Jet Ranger that was outfitted with some surveillance equipment and stuff, so we'd go around, and I flew in the door as a door gunner.
It's fucking so ridiculous.
We would take fire, and Superdome was a mess. People get animalistic, bro. People get animalistic quick.
Bro, I've talked about that a lot. It takes 15 minutes before the people that are hardwired savage are doing savage shit. I was talking to a friend, I forget who it was, just like a week or two ago, because a lot of people are concerned about the state of the country with all the division and all the rioting and all the violence that you're seeing come through your TV. People are super concerned about where the country's going to go. And they said, if the government were to shut down, if law enforcement became unavailable, how long do you think it would take before people would be out on the streets committing crime, stealing stuff, killing people? I said
within an hour.
15 minutes to an hour. Yep. That's exactly what I said. As fast as the message could get spread that I can do what I want, savagery is going to ensue almost immediately.
Yep. Absolutely, 100%.
And even if, let's say, 1% of the population is going to take advantage of a state where law enforcement is unable to respond, well, 1 out of 100 people walking around, killing people, stealing shit, it's fucking pandemonium.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what happened in Katrina.
Yeah.
There were a lot of innocent people caught in the mix that couldn't get out of the city. There's a lot of people that evacuated the city. But then the savages, the people that were just let's face it, there are bad people out there. There are shit people out there. There are people that are predators.
There's shit people everywhere.
Right. Real predators, and they jumped on that opportunity immediately. Dude, we're launching boats. Right? We're launching boats off of highway overpasses because the overpasses are going into the water.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're backing up the trailers.
Boat launch.
Yeah, we're backing up the trailers and we're launching boats. And in some of the 3 and 4 story project buildings that are around, dude, we're taking gunfire. We're trying to put a boat in the water to go fucking rescue people that are stuck in their attic with no food and no water, and they're shooting at us.
What's the fucking mentality? Where's a person at? That's not even a human being. That's like a fucking animal,
For sure. Absolutely.
Like you would expect that on the streets of Mogadishu.
Right.
You wouldn't expect that on an American city anywhere. Mm-hmm. But that's what's so funny about when you hear people say defund the police. Those people are out there.
Oh yeah. They're out there and they're coming for your neighborhood or your town or, I live in a pretty sleepy little, upper middle class with some wealthy area town, and.
Yeah. They're going to want your shit. They're going to want your food. I mean, fuck, that's a whole nother podcast in itself. But like, that's why if you don't take preparedness serious, like, dude, if you think you're going to try and figure this out and navigate through like an apocalyptic scenario, if you're not prepared ahead of time,
too late.
You're fucking cannon fodder.
Yeah.
You know?
We've talked about this, you know, like I realized I fell victim to my own, you know, what I preach about with comms.
Yeah.
You know, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, you know, like I've got enough food and water to sustain me until I can go get more hunt or fish or whatever. Got enough ammo and weapons and gear and kit and
or
mobility set up,
or do raids on other people and steal their shit.
Oh, that would definitely happen for sure.
Which sounds fucked up to say, but at the like we talk about savagery, even you, whoever's listening, and me, there is a scenario where you will become a savage too. Because if my kids need to eat and there's food in the house next door, well, at what point do I need to take that food?
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
Oh, and that's definitely happening. I tell people all the time that ask me and they say they've got all this rice and all these non-perishables and all this water. I'm like, cool. Thanks for buying all my food for me.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, I mean, we're friends, but we're not that tight. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Guess what? Hate to break it to you, you know?
So if I see you, if we do like a link up, post-apocalyptic America,
yeah.
Can I consider you an ally?
100%. 100%. We've already established that, you know, like we're stronger together than we are.
Yeah, of course, man.
So,
you know what's strange is that there's a movement going on right now to kind of like ban preparedness talk. And I don't know, like I had Mike Glover on the podcast for episode 10. And if you listen to the stuff Mike Glover says, dude, it's not anti-government.
None of it.
He's not trying to incite violence. He's not doing anything that's out of the realm of complete reasonableness to prepare yourself so you and your family have a higher probability of survival.
Even for a natural disaster.
Yeah, exactly. His stuff is not even, I mean, because of the current climate, he talks about violence in your cities and how to defend yourself against that. But they're taking him down. They're banning, they're shadowing all his shit on the internet. He lost both his Instagrams.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I've never been a conspiracy theorist, but at what point is like a guy talking about how to defend your family? We got to shut that guy up. Get him out of here. Done. You know?
And, you know, we're being censored massively. You know, certain topics, certain beliefs, ideologies are being censored massively on social media. And again, it's not political because we were just talking about Katrina.
Yeah.
That wasn't anything political. That was a natural disaster. That was a hurricane that shut down services.
Yeah.
Right? And pandemonium and killing and rape and theft just ensued for the next 2 weeks, bro. You know?
Bro, and like, that's also a big part of that also. And that's why I'm trying to purchase property right now. Dude, you got to look at where you're at geographically. And this might not be politically correct to say, but guess what? It's the truth. There's certain areas of the country where if that's where you live, you have a pretty good idea that it's going to go to shit.
Yep.
If the grid goes down.
Yep.
Or if something like Katrina happens, or if the police get defunded, like it's going to go to shit. Whereas if you have a house on a ranch, like where we're at here in Coeur d'Alene with 50 acres, you're probably going to be okay.
Right.
You know?
Self-sufficiency. Can you hunt? Can you fish? You know, same thing. You know, I'm fortunate. I live in a little bit more of a suburban area.
As do I currently,
I live on the river.
Yeah.
I got a little boat. I know how to fish. I know how to hunt. You know, like we're not going to starve, you know?
Everybody's going to be on the keto diet by default.
That's right. That's right, dude.
You know what's funny is like, right now I do live in a pretty like cookie cutter neighborhood.
Yeah, me too.
The houses
You've been
are,
in my house?
Yeah. The houses are 10 feet apart or whatever, but there are fucking rabbits everywhere.
Same here.
Everywhere you look, there's a rabbit. It's like, hey, Siler, my daughter. I'm like, you're pretty good with your bow. You know, that could be our main food source.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like
Dude,
it's crazy to think about.
Same
But
thing. We got rabbits, we got deer. We were out in the boat the other day, and we saw a doe and two little fawns swimming across the river. Kind of slowed down and pulled up around. The kids were like, "Oh, that's awesome!" And hey, dude, we can go to that little bridge and go eat gator. We'll go get that gator, man. That'll feed us for a while.
Dude, I'm gonna tell that story. So when I was in New Orleans, what was it, 2 months ago or whatever?
About that, yeah.
We're driving down the street. And Greg pulls over and he's like, "Hey, sometimes there's gators here."
Let me start off. You've been begging
I
me
wanted
for
to see it,
days.
yeah.
Like, dude, I want to see a gator. I want to see a gator.
Bro, I'm from Seattle. We don't have dinosaurs in our fucking ditches,
dinosaur, yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, of course I want to see a gator. And we pull up to this place and we're looking out in the water and this dude pulls up in a pickup truck and goes, "Hey, I got a bag of marshmallows if you want them." I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He gives them to you.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, great. Thanks."
Yeah, cool.
I know what's about to happen.
Thank you. And Greg goes, "Gators love marshmallows." And I'm like,
Bullshit.
"What the fuck are you talking about, gator?" Like,
We're being played right now.
yeah, dude, that's exactly what I said. I said, "Dude, I'm being played right now. Like, these fucking they're the apex predators of planet Earth, dude. They've been around since the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They're not going to come up to you like some fucking puppy because you're throwing marshmallows at it. Wrong. Alligators love marshmallows." And I fucking posted a video of it on my Instagram. And you were throwing them. You went up on top of the bridge so you could throw the marshmallows downward hard.
Yeah, because they hear that.
Yeah,
flop.
you could get that like shockwave through the water. And sure as shit, this thing just starts beelining towards it.
Because he was going away from us. We walked up to the bank and he's going away. I go, "Watch this." And you're like, "Bullshit, man. We're getting played." Thwop. The gator goes.
Turns around. Yep. And then so I thought like, okay, maybe it's just reacting to the sound and it would be doing that if you were throwing tennis balls or anything. No, it comes up and it eats the marshmallow. And I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? Like, this world never ceases to amaze me, dude. Just absolute ridiculousness. We're feeding dinosaurs marshmallows. So I posted a video on my Instagram, and you know, there's people like, "Oh, that's not their natural food source.
Bro, you shouldn't be feeding that.
You're poisoning an alligator." And I was like, fuck you, dude. Yeah. You know, I do take the Joe Rogan approach and I don't respond to negativity.
Yeah.
I have very rarely here and there, but I'm not going to get in a fucking argument with some girl that thinks I'm poisoning an alligator because I fed it a marshmallow.
Right. It's
like,
not worth it.
That thing's going to go eat somebody's cat next and it's going to be completely fine.
Yeah.
So fuck you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, fuck, man. I know we normally run these about 2 hours. We're at an hour and a half, but we also have an event to go to tonight. So you got anything else on your mind, or you think it'd be time to wrap this up?
Man, yeah, I think, we've been doing about an hour and a half, and, I don't think this is the last time we'll do this,
I mean, depending.
You and I get into a lot of conversation when we start, just with what's going on around the world and kids and raising kids and stuff. I mean, shit, we could probably talk for freaking days.
Bro, that's what's fun about a podcast. It's
Absolutely.
like, and obviously I get more feedback for certain, like people like law enforcement stuff. Man, maybe that's just because I used to be a cop, you're a cop. So cops might listen to this.
Yeah.
And I get jiu-jitsu stuff. And yes, people are kind of more keen on certain topics, but the other side of it is I get a lot of like DMs of things that, like when I did that special needs, my buddy that has a special needs child, and people are like, wow, that was powerful. That was cool shit, and you kind of just sit down for a couple hours and present something that somebody hasn't been exposed to before. That's what's so fucking cool about this, and so, yeah, man, I've never wanted to pigeonhole myself. Like, you want to talk about parenting, you want to talk about working out, you want to talk about fucking school, deploying, on and on and on and on.
Yeah, dude.
And that's what's fun about it.
Parenting's a big one for me because I think it's massively lacking in our society.
And it's the hardest fucking...
And it's hard. There's no instruction manual, dude.
No, man. Like...
If you get me started, we'll be going for another hour. But like you and I parent pretty similar, it sounds like.
I don't know, though. I saw you having your kids do sprints out in the yard.
That's right, dude.
Like, every once in a while I use PT as a punishment, physical training.
PT is their main punishment.
But I feel like I need to do more of it. And I'm deficient. Like, I know my kids know how to push my buttons. And dude, I fucking lose my temper on them sometimes. And then I'm mad at myself afterwards.
For sure.
Because losing your temper is not a sufficient way to parent.
Agreed. But we're still human. And
we're still human. And my kids are 5, 8, and 11, and I'll always own it. That's one thing I always do with my kids. Afterwards, if I lose my temper on them and I scream at them, I'll sit them down and I'll be like, hey, here's the deal. This is my first time being a parent. You guys are doing things that I don't have a solution to. You're misbehaving. This isn't a pass for you to continue what you're doing, but I'm calm now, and I'm going to tell you how I behaved was inappropriate.
Yeah.
But the reason we're having this conversation in the first place is because your behavior was inappropriate.
Yeah.
So we can both be better, and that's what we need to do. And it's, the style of leadership that I always did the best under. It wasn't the yellers. It wasn't the guys that fucking like smoke the shit out of you. It was the guys that expressed disappointment in me.
For sure.
It's like a fucking dagger in your heart, you know?
You're like, dude, I'm not going to do that again.
I don't want to do that again. Yeah. So I'm trying to, that's what I want to kind of impart on my children. But dude, I mean, my fucking 5-year-old's a savage. I told her we could go to the pet store and pick out a pet last week. She picked out a tarantula and she's just holding it like nothing, you know? Yeah. And so sometimes when I'm trying to like be empathetic with her and have these conversations about how I don't want to scream at you. I want to be able to work things out with words and being kind to each other, just in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
She's looking at me with those crazy eyes. I'm like, fuck, dude.
I kind of shut down the whole losing my temper thing and yelling, and my wife, we see eye to eye on everything. And she's a great mom, disciplinarian, the whole 9 yards, but she's still a woman and she spends more time with the kids too. So she's like, oh my God, And I'm having the approach now, like the video you saw of them running suicides in the backyard.
Yeah.
Right? Every time they touched one side of the fence near our back door, they had to shout, I will leave the remotes where they belong. And they sprinted back, and I will leave the remotes where they belong, because we go in and one of the kids is carrying the remotes around the house and goes into another room and puts it down. And it's like,
nightmare.
Where's the remote?
Yeah.
So I just said from now on, I set them both down. I said, here's the deal. I'm going to explain this to you. And I said, if the remotes don't end up on the side table, if they're not there on this table right here, both of you are getting smoked. And I said,
so you're responsible for your ranger buddy.
That's it. And I said, I don't care who does it. Right. So Gemma, if you see Jackson walking off into the other room with the remote, you better fix it. Jackson, you better do the same. You're responsible for each other. You guys are battle buddies.
And how old are they again?
My daughter just turned 6. My son will be 9 in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So 9 and 6. I said, you guys are battle buddies. You guys are going to take care of each other. So I'm telling you right now, I'm explaining this to you. If the remote is not here when you guys are not watching TV in the room, you're going to get smoked. And I walked in one night. I'm like, where's the remote? Trying to turn the TV off or whatever it was. And I'm looking around. I'm like, both of you, come here right now. Go put your shoes on. And I want to yell and I want to get angry. I go put your shoes on. I'm not even looking at them. Hurry up. And they go put their shoes on. They come back, go outside, run fence to fence. You're going to keep running, and every time you touch this side, you're going to say, I will leave the remotes where they belong, and you're going to keep running until I find this remote.
Yeah.
And they went outside, and they're going, and they're going, and they're going, and they're kind of smiling and giggling at first, and then the smiles kind of go away.
Getting smoke's no big deal for the first minute or two.
That's right. And then they're breathing heavy, and like I'm still looking, and next thing you know, they're both kind of crying out there, and I found the remote. I said, come here. I said, you guys learn your lesson, But look, at the end of the day, like 10 minutes later, they're both hugging me. I love you, Dad.
Yeah.
I love you. One of the hardest things recently, so I'm homeschooling the kids now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of the homeschooling is like I'm taking them out to go fishing at the canal, or I'm taking them out, we're doing rifle marksmanship training, and I take them shooting every couple of days and whatnot. And so I'm getting ready to take them both shooting. We load up all the stuff, and we load their little 22 rifles up and their ear pro and eye pro and all the ammo and whatnot. And it's a little bit of a production. We get in the truck and we drive to the range, and I lower the tailgate of the truck and whatnot, and I'm pulling all the stuff out, and I go, here, Jax, take your rifle. And he knows the deal. He's got great weapons handling. He's very safe. That's because I hammer him on it. And he just kind of grabs the gun and looks at me, and I'm still holding the top of the rifle. The rifle's pointing straight up and down, right? And I hand it to him. And so I'm kind of holding the top near the barrel, near the muzzle. And he just kind of reaches out and grabs it. And I go, freeze. I say, look where your thumb is. And he just kind of didn't pay attention. He kind of grabbed the gun like this like a beer can grip, but his thumb went right in the trigger guard. I said, freeze, look where your thumb is. And he looked down and said, let go. I said, go sit in the truck. You're done.
Dude, I mean.
And it broke my heart. Dude.
I bet it did. But it's like I was saying in the Ranger Regiment, like any mishap with weapons handling, you're hammered.
You're done. And we talked about that after the fact,
dude.
Because I stayed out there with his sister and me and her shot, and he had to sit in the truck. And I didn't want to rob him of training, but it was such an important lesson.
Yeah.
I had to make it. And we got in the truck afterwards. I said, buddy, do you know why I did that? Do you know why that was so important? I said, if Dad did that in his life, I wouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
I'd have been kicked out. If I did that, if I had my finger on the trigger when it didn't belong there, I would have been kicked out of selection. I would have been kicked off the team. If I banged a shot, I've had an ND. You're done.
Yeah.
I said, this is not a game.
And even more importantly, when you're 16 and you're hanging out with your buddies duck hunting and he's handing you a shotgun out of the back of his truck, you can't assume that guy knows any weapons handling skills. You can't assume the condition of that weapon. If you grab it like that, you could blow your friend's fucking head off.
That's right. And it happens. You know, it happens. So it was, it was a hard lesson. It was an emotional one for me to do to my son because we spent a lot of time prepping to go out to the range and let him shoot.
And when you're 9, that's like shooting with Dad. Sure, that's a fucking
thing in the world.
Highlight of the week.
Oh, they love it, dude. They love it. So, but it's cool, man. But at the same time, like, I got good kids, man. Like I got kids that are respectful and yes, sir, no, ma'am, and the whole, open doors and like courteous, pick up their own shit. But I'm pretty tough.
Man, I go back and forth on if I feel like I'm a good parent or not. Tell you the truth, like sometimes I'm like, dude, I'm killing this. I got good kids. They got good hearts. They're nice people. Like, and that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
It's like we said, be nice, have fun. Like that's the key to having a successful life, right? But then other times they'll be disrespectful as shit to me. My middle daughter, who's 9 or 8 or 9, I can't remember. She like, dude, will talk back. She'll be sassy as shit. And it's like, where is this coming from? And if you try and approach it with logic, again, in one ear and out the other. But then I talk to her gymnastics coaches. I talk to her teachers. I talk to like auntie, like other people in the family.
Right.
Oh, Reagan's such a sweetheart. She's just an absolute blessing to have in our class. We love her. She's so kind. I'm like, okay, as long as you're behaving like that outside of the house, I guess if you need to vent and you need to get shit out, I'll be the fucking guy.
And you're Dad.
I'm Dad.
You're right.
Yep.
My little girl's the same way, dude. My little girl, she's my personality. She's me reincarnated, dude. She is mean and tough and stubborn and just like kind of grumpy, My son's my wife.
Yeah.
He's all smiles, happy all the time. And, but like she stayed at the grandparents' house this last week while we were at Pans. And it's like, they just sang her praises the whole week. Like, oh, she's so good. She's so, I'm like, it's my girl. Like, okay, turn it on when you need to turn it on. Like,
your shit's paying off though.
Yeah, so, but yeah. Anyway, we digressed into parenting stuff.
Cool, man.
Let's go link up with the boys and tip a glass back for Monkey.
Yeah, we got one more event tonight, and then we have a celebration of life tomorrow at the ranch. So it's going to be a pretty awesome weekend. So
absolutely.
All right, guys, that's going to be a wrap. Thanks for listening.